With the release of Sonic 3 and with the new scaling meta for Sonic, we can now do a versus matchup I've wanted to do for a very long time, and we can put the live action version of Super Sonic against Henry Cavill's DCEU Superman to see who would truly come out on top. Let's get started. Starting things off with Superman, and even in his pre-resurrection state, he already had the potential to be multi-continental and far above that, considering he was capable of one-shotting the world engine, which was going to terraform all of the Earth into Krypton. And keep in mind that this was a weakened Superman that this applies to, considering he was getting progressively weaker due to the world engine manipulating Earth's atmosphere to be more like Krypton's, which would obviously weaken him due to the absence of yellow sun radiation. And to add on to consistency, Superman is capable of lifting tectonic plates, which would be calculated to country level. However, Superman's most impressive scaling meta for his pre-resurrection state would come from a statement from Wonder Woman, where she stated that Superman from his pre-resurrectionary state would possibly be on the same level as Steppenwolf, with Steppenwolf not only described as being a planet buster, but also capable of matching Doomsday, who is capable of destroying chunks of Krypton's moon, which was calculated to moon level. With this being consistent, since in BVS, Superman is capable of scaling to Doomsday, taking his blows and also being able to injure the monster with his own attacks, which would add validity to this scaling. But then we move on to resurrected Superman, and he's just fucking busted, since he's capable of eclipsing characters like Steppenwolf and Wonder Woman, who he was previously relative to, meaning that this moon to planetary scaling should honestly be child's play to him, since he's capable of bullying characters who scale to that level. However, believe it or not, this isn't where Henry Cavill's scaling ends, because we actually get some new scaling metas for him with the Blue Beetle and Black Adam films respectively. In Black Adam, it's implied by Amanda Waller that Superman would be capable of killing Black Adam, with Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, or executive producer of the film, implying that the only reason Black Adam would win in a fight against Superman is because of his innate weakness to magic, with these statements strongly implying that Superman, in terms of raw power at least, is equal if not superior to Black Adam, with The Rock also stating verbatimly that Superman is the most powerful force in the entire universe, meaning that he would just upscale pretty much every character, or at the very least most of them. Due to him upscaling from Black Adam, this would add on to the planetary scaling, as Black Adam is stated to be capable of destroying the world. Not to mention Black Adam, it scales above Dr. Fate, who is described as having god levels of power, with gods being capable of matching mother boxes, with even individual gods that make up Shazam's powers being capable of juggling planets, which Superman would just upscale from. With the Man of Steel's most impressive scaling meta being upscaling off of the Scarab that Blue Beetle uses, which is capable of destroying planets in such a manner that were calced to even dwarf star ranges of power, which obviously the Man of Steel would upscale from. However, keep in mind that this is still potentially a massive lowball, since The Rock states that Superman is the most powerful force of nature in the universe, meaning that he would presumably upscale things such as black holes, gamma ray bursts, and even supernovas themselves, potentially meaning that Superman has some universal scaling available to him at his absolute limits. Although this is speculation admittedly. Still interesting to think about. Moving on to speed now, and for Superman we have quite a lot of interesting metas to talk about. In Man of Steel, in a weakened state, Superman was capable of outflying a black hole, which, keep in mind, black holes are singularities that not even light can escape from, meaning that even in a weakened state he would have light speed or faster than light travel speed. And keep in mind that the Batman vs Superman guidebook states that Superman's reaction and combat speed are comparable to his travel speed, meaning that yes, even in combat he'd be able to fight characters that scale to faster than light. However, post-resurrection Superman just completely eclipses his previous speed meta, since previously he was shown to be comparable to characters like Doomsday, Wonder Woman, and characters who scale to that level such as Steppenwolf, yet in his resurrected state he just blatantly blitzes and even statues these characters like it's nothing. Meaning that as a rough estimate for DCEU Superman's speed, or at the very least his perception speed, we can put it comfortably at over 2,300 times faster than the speed of light, or MFTL+. I know some people will bring up the inaccessible speed meta for Superman, since he's shown to be capable of tagging Barry Allen, who is shown to be capable of reversing time with his sheer speed. However, I would disagree with this meta, considering that Flash has to completely go all out in order to achieve this speed, which he didn't do in his encounter with Superman, and even then Barry was shown to be the faster one of the two, with Superman only landing a hit when Barry made the mistake of touching the Man of Steel, meaning that yes, inaccessible speed would not apply to this version of Superman. However, he's still still insanely fast, as we've clearly gone over. But now we're moving on to the fastest thing alive, Sonic the Hedgehog, and seeing how he compares to the Man of Steel in his trilogy. Mere fragments of Sonic's power are capable of releasing energy outputs that were calculated to island level, with Eggman's machines even stating that these quills had potentially unlimited amounts of energy, with Sonic being shown to be massively more powerful than that, as he was capable of destroying a machine that was powered by his individual quills, which were already capable of generating island levels of power. However, this is debatably a massive lowball, since a very inexperienced Sonic was capable of discharging a level of energy that was felt across the planet and even felt by satellites outside of orbit, which this feat was calculated to around planetary level. And keep in mind that Sonic 2 and 3 demonstrate that Sonic does get more powerful with age, considering this planetary scaling would be a massive lowball to him, considering that Knuckles in the midpoint of Sonic 2 was capable of one-shotting this version of Sonic, with Sonic at the end of the film being able to fight that version of Knuckles for an extended period of time. And then going into Sonic 3, Sonic is capable of taking hits from Shadow, who is capable of hilariously outclassing Knuckles and Sonic, meaning that by the events of Sonic 3 at least, this planetary scaling would be a massive lowball for him. And for scaling metas far above planetary, Shadow, even in his base form, was capable of powering the Eclipse Cannon, which Gerald Robotnik stated would be capable of generating explosions 25,000 miles wide. Keep in mind that this would dwarf the Earth, as well as the fact that it would be stated to be capable of destroying the Eclipse Cannon as well, meaning that the blast radius would eclipse the Earth, which was calculated to around large planetary level. The reason why this applies to Sonic is not only because base Sonic could endure a beating from Shadow, however, both Super Sonic and Super Shadow could also endure the Eclipse Cannon for a long ass time, with Super Sonic, even in a fit of rage, being capable of knocking Super Shadow out of his super form, demonstrating that large planetary should honestly be a lowball for Super Sonic, especially in an enraged state and whilst going all out, since Sonic usually holds back all the time. However, keep in mind that Super Sonic could potentially scale even higher than this, due to the Master Emerald being stated to have universal levels of power or being a threat to the entire universe, with Eggman's machine in Sonic 2 being capable of being a threat to the universe and even the multiverse itself, which Super Sonic was casually able to destroy. And keep in mind that Super Sonic scales to Super Shadow, who is potentially even stronger than him, meaning that yes, there is the potential for him to be universal or multiversal, but just a thought. As far as speed goes, Super Sonic should obviously upscale from anything that base Sonic was capable of performing, such as the time he statued a barrage of missiles, to such an extent that he would be generating relativistic to the speed of light levels of speed, with the novelization stating that Sonic is capable of running at hyperspeed, which is basically just another way of saying he can run at the speed of light. However, Sonic is actually way faster than that at his absolute limits, as he performs the most impressive quantifiable speed feat I've ever seen for a live action character. Remember that energy surge that Sonic performed in Sonic 1? Well, it was stated by Tails that it was capable of reaching his own planet in a short amount of time, which Longclaw implies is galaxies away, meaning that being absurdly conservative, Sonic's speed would be capable of reaching 109 trillion times above the speed of light. And keep in mind that this applies to base Sonic, not even factoring in Super Sonic, meaning he would potentially be even faster than that. Seriously, do you know of a speed feat that a live action character has performed that is quantifiable, that is faster than that, outside of things like immeasurable or inaccessible? Please comment down below, because this is fecking crazy. So now let's go into who I think wins this fight, and I'll be honest, this is a pretty one-sided affair. If we look at these characters from their consistent metas, then yes, Superman would actually be stronger and more durable than Super Sonic, as he is more consistently within the dwarf star to star ranges of power, whereas Super Sonic is around the large planetary to maybe dwarf star at a high end, meaning that yes, Super Sonic would be in serious trouble if Superman gets a hold of him. The issue for Clark, however, is he's never gonna land a hit on Sonic, since if we compare their upper limits for speed scaling, it's not even remotely close. You have Superman, who is around 2,000 times faster than the speed of light, versus Sonic, who even in his base form is over 1 trillion times faster than the speed of light. And yeah, you can see where this is going, right? Like supersonic blitzes without any issue. And keep in mind that that is the best case scenario for Superman, since if we look at their absolute highest metas, then sure, both characters have universal scaling, however Supersonic has the potential to be in the multiversal ranges, something that Superman just doesn't have, meaning that it honestly just comes down to how badly you think Superman is losing this fight. And the craziest thing about this matchup is that movie Sonic is debatably one of the weakest versions of Sonic we've ever seen, since the video game and comic book versions respectively are able to break the speed equation altogether, meaning that if anything, putting movie Sonic against Superman, sure it's not even close, but at the end of the day, it's what I consider mercy. But what do you guys think? Do you think I lowballed Superman, or do you think I overhyped Sonic? Let me know down below. Feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, join the Discord server, all the rest of it. Comment your future matchups down below, and maybe I'll get round to making them a reality. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.